Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series with Frodan and Azumo QT. Our next series is the second place runner-up spot to see who is going to also be joining Shao QZ
Yep.
in the Saturday main event. Now, the Saturday event, we have 4 invites.
Yep.
They're going to be
Ecop, Lothar, AP Drop, and Brian Kibler. And they're going to be joined by D2 and Max, who are actually the first and second place from our last week's ESL Legendary Series. So those 6 players will join Shao as well as the winner of this next match.
KXN versus SilentStorm. It's
Yeah.
a rematch from the beginning of the day. Where it
Yes.
was a 3-0 for KXN. I don't feel like it's going to be the case this time around.
Yeah, it was a really quick series, and all the games were pretty quick. There was really great starts for KXN, and a lot of them in SilentStorm didn't really have many opportunities to get back in it.
Sure.
And we saw some really impressive play from SilentStorm when he played in the losers semifinals. So really looking for great things from him, and I think he's going to play a little bit smarter now that he knows exactly what KXN's bringing.
I think both ways, too. KXN, for example, knows that there's Molten Giants in the mage deck.
Yes,
so.
and I think that's actually a big deal because playing around those Molten Giants could be pretty big, especially if he's playing a deck that has the ability to play around it effectively.
Absolutely. So these guys are going to be fighting for a spot for tomorrow, and ultimately tomorrow is going to be feeding into the big picture of 12 weeks of how we have a lot of players seeding in for the finals in February 21st and 22nd for $20,000. That's going to be a really fun time. If you guys are watching and you're like, well, I want to compete in the Cup as well, on every Sunday we open up the Challenger Cup that you guys are seeing the finals of, and we'll be casting it the same way next Friday as well. All you have to do is go to esl.gg/legendary series. Sign up for the Open Challenger Cup. Find out what times exactly local to you, and then we'll be able to maybe see you guys here on the following weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that play in those every single weekend. I believe some of them reach up to about 500 players.
Wow.
So you really have to be consistently good to play in that. And it's a lot of Hearthstone in a day, but it's a really great tournament experience, and it's super fun. And sometimes you can find yourself playing against people that more popular people, that are more well known. A lot of people actually got their start in the ESL tournaments. I think Chalky was one of them. So pretty big stuff.
Hosty was another guy
exactly.
who did that. Before he retired, it was Christopher. Let's go and look at the versus screen to see what we can expect for this second place match. We have Mage versus Zoo, Freeze Mage versus Zoo. Then we also have Warrior versus Hunter. And finally, we have Shaman versus Priest. So there's some pretty strong matchups overall here for SilentStorm, although Shaman versus Priest can be really tough. I feel like Mage versus Zoo is usually really good.
Yeah.
I like Warrior versus Hunter personally, but I do think Hunter is slightly favored in that matchup, even though I think like the fact that you can have a deck even close to even against Hunter means it's a good deck.
Yeah. And sometimes Warriors can just get the early draws that they need and stabilize really quickly.
Sure.
And can be able to deal with Hunters quite effectively. But yeah, the Freeze Mage against Zoo, though, especially with Molten Giants, I think is actually really good. Because you're able to make such impactful turns later on that if you're able to get a turn where you can lay 1 or 2 Mountain Giants or Molten Giants and then control the board somehow with like a Frost Nova or anything, even a Flame Strike would be good in that situation, then you're pretty much guaranteed to kill the next turn because you're more than likely have some spells to do damage, and the Warlock's more than likely to have tapped quite a bit by that point in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting deck for sure, and I want to see if it can line up once again nicely for SilentStorm.
Yeah.
He hasn't ever gotten to Game 4s yet. It's always ended in the lineup stage.
Wow, okay.
It's never gotten to the blind pick stage.
So I don't know if that's going to be detrimental to him or beneficial just because of how his decks are. He has the opportunity to really queue into a counter pick for him or a counter pick for his opponent. So I doubt we'll see the Mage deck just because of how much that could be countered out by some things. But the Molten Giants makes it a lot better in matchups that would usually be really bad.
Definitely. And especially the reason they struggle against Handlock, right? If you just get these Molten Giants, you can't deal with it.
Yep.
Doomsayer is a very important keep against Zoo, and he knows that. Even dropping it on turn 2.
Yeah, just stops that momentum, stops the tempo.
Gains you 7 health if he chills it off. Whew! That looks like an explosive start to me.
That's a curve if I've ever seen one, Frodan. That Undertaker can
It's
get
still
pretty
not
big
enough.
pretty quick.
Still not enough to kill Doomsayer, actually, which is really funny to me.
That's true. And this is that situation where this Doomsayer is going to...
He needs to have a Death Rattle and then Abusive Sergeant. Or just straight up Soulfire.
Oh, I mean, even if he just plays the egg on this turn, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because he'll still be left with the 4/4 at the end of the day.
Oh, that's a very good point. Very good point.
And, I mean, that's really his only choice at this point.
Oh, yeah, he's 1 damage short from that, so... Nerubian Egg seems like a reasonable response. You get 5 damage and 7 damage in fact.
Yeah. It's not too bad. All right, this is gonna. I think this is gonna be almost certainly an Arcane Intellect turn.
You can make a case for the Mad Scientist, though.
And it looks like he doesn't even hesitate. So
Because what if Arcane Intellect draws the secrets that you're supposed to put in play?
that's very true. And he already has 1 secret in his hand, so with the counterspell.
Counterspell is useless.
think
in
I
this
was-
matchup, really.
I'm a big fan of curve. I'm a curve guy.
Nice. Well, I'm a lean, mean, efficiency machine type of guy. Yeah. So just stall. See how long you can go. And he's gonna leave up the ability to silence the Mad Scientist. That's always makes me really scared because I know if they have Iron Beak Owl, it's like. But I guess if he had it, he would have used it on the Doomsayer.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna just be like this weird race scenario.
Yeah. These Death Rattle minions can still be pretty annoying to deal with for Freeze Mages. And I mean, he's getting dangerously low. And I think he only runs 1 counterspell, so I'm almost certain that that's...
Ooh, those are 2 pretty good cards, though.
Yeah, it is Ice Block. Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, Thanos to cycle. He's most certainly not going to leave that up.
Yeah, he should be able to get to turn 9 to be able to play the Alexstrasza, and playing a Molten Giant and Alexstrasza on a single turn is going to be pretty huge.
Okay, now has he learned his lesson? Is KXN going to just hold here and not attack him? Like, you can split up the board and then not attack. Oh, I guess not.
Nope.
Just go ham.
That's not an option. Oh, well, he only has 1 of the Molten Giants. I guess you're sort of putting him on the spot for saying, hey, if you don't have Molten Giants, you're going to be in a really rough position. And even now, I mean, he could actually clear off this Molten Giant relatively easily because he's got another Abusive Sergeant in his hand.
Unless he uses his Ice Lance, which I'm definitely in favor of. Now, that's annoying for sure, but there are ways for him to get it. Knife Juggler, let's see how that impacts it. I guess you just start trying to peck away. You're still trying to race for time because you realize the Ice Block works 2 ways. You need to pop it 1 turn and then threaten the next turn as well.
Yep. And then that Alexstrasza, I think, is going to do a lot of work in this game. He pretty much is... He has 2 more turns left to pop that block, or else he's going to be in some real trouble. The Defender Vargas is actually a pretty big play here because it's going to stop a lot of the damage from that Molten Giant.
Unless he has Flame Strike.
And that Mad Scientist, I think, is actually not going to be very useful. Because he's already got the Ice Block active.
Does he have 2 counter spells or Ice Bear? We haven't seen Ice Bear. Right?
Yeah, we haven't seen Ice Bear. We've only seen 1 counter spell. So it's a possibility that he's running 2, but this is going to be really telling here because I'm almost certain that he's going to trade this in somewhere.
The problem is if he blizzards, he actually creates 2 more tokens of spiders, and that's still lethal if he has or like lethal damage if he didn't have Ice Block. If he has Doom Guard.
Yeah.
Or Soulfire.
Or Soulfire, yeah. I think almost no matter what here, you're going to be in a position where the block is going to be popped next turn. Unless you do this.
Yep. To freeze the board is what you got to do. So we took the least damage possible on the Giant.
What's that second secret? Can we mouse over that?
Well, not at the moment because we're on KXN's POV.
Because he does have his counterspell in his hand, and he has 2 secrets active. So it's either a second counterspell or he has an Ice Barrier somewhere in there. He fits a lot of things into this deck.
Yep.
Antonidas, he has Pyroblast as well.
He probably took out Ice Barriers.
Okay.
He might be running 2 counter spells.
He also doesn't have like a lot of the other draw mechanics that sometimes freeze mages will use, like loot hoarders or novice engineers.
Kangson might be rat a little bit. He's doing things in a little awkward like orders because he's like tapping after he plays a minion and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is he worried at all about dying if he plays his flame? Maybe he's at 19. There's 8 on board. His opponent has to do 11.
That's pretty easy to muster up.
Yeah, just like Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Fireball. Or
Or
just
just-
use a Fireball.
Yeah, just Frostbolt Iceland's hero power. And he plays it anyway. That's...
Actually, hold on. I think that might have. Does that cost him the game? Oh no, because Antonidas costs 7 in Frostbolt, so he doesn't have enough mana. 'Cause if he
no.
had Frostbolt with the Antonidas,
Yeah,
that would have actually been like crazy damage.
yeah.
All right, so he's got 2 Frostbolts here. How much damage does he have in his hand? He's got 6, 7. So he can put him down to 4 HP.
Yeah.
Antonidas, because he's going to draw a lot of heat off him, and then he Alex draws this himself.
Yeah.
Seems legit.
Yep. But he's going to sort of rely on... I guess not, because...
He
as
can't
long-
protect his ice block, though.
Yeah, he can't protect his ice block, and then he could still kill the Molten Giant as well. But he actually has to deal with both of this, so it's good. He's got to do this very efficiently here.
Or he's got to draw into another piece of damage with this Frostbolt. That's his other out.
Yep.
Alex Straza, realistically, might not stall that much because as long as he clears everything but still has enough damage to kill off from 15, he'd be still sitting in a good spot.
He's... did he use one Fireball already?
Yes, he used 1 Fireball. He has
Okay.
Ice Lances, so he's got 3 draws left.
Okay.
He needs to kill off both of these minions. So Abusive Sergeant comes down, most likely on the Defender of Argus or like another 1 health minion that doesn't really matter to him much.
Probably the Leopardon, so that way you still get 3 damage to the... or 2 damage to the face. So you get the best of both worlds. Oh, maybe not. But I still think, though, he's going to be able to clean up the board here and pop this ice block. Just how efficiently does he want to do it? Okay, this does it.
A little weird order.
A little
but
awkward.
It's the same exact thing anyways.
Yep. So, Ice Lance. Ice Lance, second Fireball.
Alright, so we just need to draw a little bit point of damage. No,
That's
that's not
not
it,
it.
but he can stay alive with Alex Straza, I believe. He's got 13 cards remaining. There is 11 damage. Oh, sorry, 9 damage
What was
on
that
board.
secret? Counterspell?
I think so.
Okay.
So he's got 11 damage. He needs to tap into something else. Soulfire.
But then there's a counterspell on the board, so if he does that, then
Ooh, you're right.
I think his only out would be Doomguard in the situation.
No, if he even has Doomguard.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't
He's
have
a little
enough
bit
mana.
short.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any way that he can finish the game here. He might be realizing this.
I mean, he can easily tap and stall this Alex Straza again. But
Yep.
then if he's tapping, he's getting closer to dying.
Yep.
This is a really tense situation.
Very tense. Just very small numbers are separating these guys from being able to kill each other, really.
Oh, he's trading. But that gives more time, because now the Frostbolts are relevant in stalling.
Yes.
Before they weren't. Even if it's just an ice block.
Oh, Lotheb. I don't know.
Lotheb's not bad. Lotheb can,
Do you try and dig here with the Acolyte of Pain?
I think Lotheb is pretty good. I think you do want a Frostbolt, though, for tempo.
All right, well, keeping himself alive here. Still no outs, and you can't tap at this point. It's just way too dangerous, because one of those 2 cards, he has to know that he has a Pyroblast. We didn't get to... No, we did get to see it in the first match when he was playing the Death Rattle Priest, so... he knows that, and those 2 cards have been in SilentStorm's hand for a very long time. At least the counterspell has.
I don't know if he can win just by trading. I think he saw a Frostball. I think he's got to go all out here.
Yeah.
Like, you put him at 5 health. You put him at Doomguard to draw. Yeah, like, I don't think you even... Do you even care about the Acolyte drawing cards? I think you have to put him at 5 HP.
Well, he does care about the Acolyte drawing cards because, I mean, there was a lot of times in the game where he could have just pushed for damage to try and finish it. So he knows that playing, like, the Loatheb on this turn while he's at 11 health and having to Frostbolt the Dark Iron Dwarf, that he's digging for answers.
That's true. He could draw a few more cards to get Flame Strike or something else, even game-ending damage. This puts him at 5. That does give 3 draws to the Acolyte, potentially.
Yes. Here we go. He's got a lot of chances here.
Oh, that's a great card.
That's going to stall it out.
Well, first we draw with the
I mean, Doomguard would still end the game even if he uses Frost Nova here.
You're right. That's why you want to draw first.
Yeah.
How does he want to do this, though?
Attack into the Voidwalker first. So that way, if you do draw into something, well, no.
Do you attack with the Acolyte?
Yeah, you might want to Hero Power first. Yeah,
okay.
There we go. So there's, yeah, but then he removes the chance. Nope, not really. Okay.
Oh my God, he's one Oh no, he's got the Fireball, of course. There you go. So he's got the damage immediately. Drawing that Fireball was the key moment, and now SilentStorm will be able to take game number 1 against Zoo. That was pretty close, but
yeah.
In the end, that's what Mage does best, stalling for time until they're able to get that damage to end the game.
Yeah, and you could tell at the end there, KXM was just trying to, I mean, when you have to clear the board like that and try and clear up those big threats, you're really just digging for answers. And there was a couple just really awkward turns for him where he had to trade a lot of those sticky low-cost minions in to clear out the Alexstrasza, or clear out that Molten Giant. And that just shows you just how powerful that Molten Giant is in against some matchups, because it puts that huge threat on the board they have to deal with, plus worry about all the damage that could come out from the Freeze Mage's hand still.
All right, so that wraps up game number 1. SilentStorm playing pretty strongly at the moment. And we go into, well, Hunter versus Warrior. And I think this one could go either way. KXN definitely needs to win this one, though, for sure. Because then he'd be in a great position where Priest can take out the Shaman and then go up on a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, SilentStorm's actually won 4 games in a row now. So after starting off the day 0-3 against KXN, he's really turned around his momentum. And in the last 4 games, he's seemed unstoppable. He's made so many great decisions. We were so impressed by that one lethal that he was able to spot that just baffled us as well. So he's just been playing super well, and the confidence going in. And KXN has, I mean, he got knocked back. So after winning the first match pretty handily, he hasn't really had much luck since then. So it's going to be, this next match is really going to turn the tides. If KXN's able to take it, I think he might be able to ride that win into the finish, because that Priest is going to do pretty well against the Shaman. But again, this is like a 50-50. And you said earlier, the Warrior against Hunter, even a 50-50 is considered pretty good against Hunter, just because how strong of a deck it is right now. But still, this one could go either way, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit towards KXN, because I believe in the power of Hunter. But I think Warrior is more than capable of disarming it. Let's find out if SilentStorm can turn it around again on KXN and be able to barely take this one out. He's got the Fiery War Axe, and that's going to be a really good, important tool to chop down the opposition.
That's always what you want to see in your opening hand as that Warrior, especially against Hunter. And I'm sure he'll throw away the rest at this point. No use in keeping any of those. Way too slow.
I mean, Gorehowl was first eliminated from decks because of Hunter.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Just way too slow and too much health.
Why did it even make its way back in?
Oh, because it's just such good card advantage in win conditions, because you know that you're only going to play one Hunter.
Yeah.
You're still going to need it against Druid, or Shaman even. Gorehowl is like one of those important cards where you don't realize how important it is until you use it again, and you're like, oh, why did I ever take you out?
I've seen it played a lot on ladder, and sometimes, I mean, I think it's a great card, but there's so many Hunters on ladder, and sometimes Gorehowl is
how many Hunters?
So many, hundreds, maybe even thousands.
I dare say millions. If there are 20 million players, there's got to be at least 1 million Hunter players.
There's at least
got to be
at least 200. I'll give you that.
Yes. Yes, they all play at the top of Legend. KXN didn't start with Undertaker. He got it again off the draw, but the Mad Scientist is just too important for tempo. But of course, the Fiery War Axe confirms KXN's belief that if he even got the Undertaker, it would have died.
Yes.
So the outcome was about net neutral. The only thing is that a turn 1 Undertaker might rush a coin War Axe,
Yep.
and that way he can he can't use the coin to do something else. For example.
Yeah.
Like, now he can't. Now he can shield slam with the shield block.
Yep.
Here.
And I think that's, well, he's thinking about whirlwinding for that extra, just 1 damage. I mean, either way, you're still trading
Sure.
a little bit of removal, but I think he might be a little bit disappointed. Whoa.
Okay. It's fine.
Okay.
It's just opportunity cost.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got Death Spite, so he doesn't need to keep another weapon.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to answer whatever threat comes out anyways.
Yep.
So this is perfectly fine as well.
I tend to use Shield Slam whenever I get the opportunity to, just because sometimes you may not have the opportunity to play it.
Oh, baby. Well, if that's Snake Trap, and he's got Death Spite and Whirlwind, I mean, there's just a lot of punishment coming out. But now he's got confirmation that this is most likely Freezing Trap.
Yes.
Considering that he hasn't seen Explosive at all from this guy.
Yeah. And a lot of hunters actually on ladder have been changing out the Snake Trap for the Explosive Trap. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but we've seen it very evident today that Snake Trap is able to be played around pretty effectively in a lot of situations. We've seen Snake Traps be played on like turn 2 or 3 or procced from a Mad Scientist on turn 2 or 3, and then they'll stay active the entire game just because the players are playing around it so much. Warrior not so much because a lot of their removal is weapon dependent, but against Shaman, I believe the Explosive Trap is probably a better choice.
Sure. I can understand that. Well, he's got the shield block, and he can start finding for answers, and he gets the Iron Beak Owl, which allows him to go for an execute play on the following turns. He's going to keep that, though, because he can execute and then Baron again the following turn. This is a really powerful move. Oh, actually, he didn't even have to execute because he does have his own owl.
Doesn't even need to.
That's right.
He wants to sacrifice his own owl.
Well, I mean, this is going to push for the damage.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget that there is a freezing trap, though. That does complicate things a little bit, math-wise.
Yeah, he might actually end up playing the Baron Geddon after all because he could proc the freezing trap with the owl. This probably seems like a good course of action here.
Well, if you know this is freezing trap, gosh, this is actually rather complicated. So you pop with the owl, you suicide in, and then you play Baron Geddon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still going to be left with 2 1/1s, but I don't think you're really too worried about that right now. Oh, no.
He's going to Whirlwind Execute.
Okay.
And it makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah. Especially since he has the Acolyte of Pain, he's going to be able to draw a card off it. This is really efficient removal here. And Baron Geddon can sometimes be a liability, especially against Hunter.
Sure.
Because they can just leave it alive. And I've actually been in situations where I have to use an owl to silence my own Baron Geddon sometimes.
Sure.
Just because I'm so worried about taking 2 damage every turn. It basically negates your hero power. Well, if he does play the bow here, he's going to be in for quite a bit of disappointment. And he is. He's thinking, oh, I got so many secrets. This is going to be the juiciest Eagle Horn bow I've ever had in my life.
Nope. Not quite.
Not at all.
But, the freezing trap, as much as it's like, yeah, I got traps, why does SilentStorm ever have to attack?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he is going to attack, but he didn't have to. Oh, he has Harrison Jones. Oh, my goodness. He just shuts it down immediately.
Yep.
That Eagle Horbo belongs in a museum. And he's just going to armor up from that point on. And that's just it, right? KXN has no way to come back. Warrior has completely locked the gate.
Yeah. Once the Warrior stabilizes, it's nearly impossible for the Hunter to be able to come back in that game. The Harrison Jones was just so big of a draw at that point. Just not many chances for KXN to be able to come back in this one. And this is sort of where I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I feel like Warrior is so strong because if they stabilize at any point in the match, it's just so hard for her to be able to do anything. And look at his hand is full. He's got so many options at this point.
Baron
Yeah. Did he even Fiery War Axe? Oh, I guess he's just
face.
not worried at all.
Yep. No, he's pushing for lethal here because he's got Ragnaros.
Yep.
And from this point on, there is pretty much nothing you can do because Ragnaros plus the Baron Geddon
Plus
the
no, not
plus
even
the Fiery War Axe.
just the Baron Geddon's.
Like
after
that
effect.
alone is enough pressure to kill him, so that's why SilentStorm feels comfortable doing this.
Yeah. But he's got to be feeling pretty happy about himself right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be his 5th game win in a row. And KXN's, I believe, well, it was a 3-2 series that he actually fell down here to. So, but what a complete turnaround! What a difference between the first match that we saw between these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
It was about a 30, maybe 40-minute series that was a 3-0 in KXN's favor. And now SilentStorm, after this is, well, I guess he hasn't won. He has 1 game away.
If this hits the owl.
Oh, jeez.
Oh. Guess that's unfortunate for SilentStorm, but in the grand scheme, looks like he's got this game on lockdown. That's it for game number 2. And KXN's going to have to rely on Priest versus Shaman, which he is it's going to be in his favor for sure. But still, in the grand scheme of things, he's going to be needing a little bit of help from RNGs to play out of this one.
And then not only that, but he's also going to have to win both blind pick matches if he's going to want to come out of this series, which is really tough because the nature of blind pick, it's just that it's random. There's a lot of mind games going on.
Sure.
A lot of these players will pick whatever deck that they're most comfortable with, and sometimes that can come back to bite you. And since SilentStorm's going to be able to choose which deck he wants, I think that the Mage has a lot of weak matchups. But who knows? Maybe that'll be a mind game. Maybe KXN will say there's no way that he's going to play Mage, and then SilentStorm plays Mage. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it depends on his lineup because Hunter might be the best choice that he has. And
that's true.
He chooses Hunter. And kind of thinking it over through, Hunter might be his best shot. It depends.
Yeah.
On how he feels. But his Priest overall is going to need some help here.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that this is Death Rattle Priest, and that's still different from... It's still different enough from the regular Priest that it gives itself its own identity, but it still matches up decently against Shaman because you still have Alkanai Soul Priest, Circle of Healing. You still have many ways to collect value, and it's the same kind of condition. If Shaman can't deal with Undertaker and doesn't have Lightning Storm,
yeah,
get blown out.
Definitely. And I think that's one of the advantages of that Death Rattle Priest is some games you can just completely control the board early on, get a big Undertaker, and like you said, just really snowball the game in your favor.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the Death Rattle Priest doesn't have as many tools to deal with the Shaman. Alkanai Circle is probably, if you don't draw into that, sometimes it can be a little bit tough for you to clear the board early on, especially since you don't run like Pyromancers, you don't run those early spells that can clear. So you're really relying on that, but we'll have to see if KXN can really come through with this Priest deck and if he can take those blind pick matches as well. But SilentStorm is 1 game away from joining us tomorrow in the Legendary Series match day.
All right, so let's go and see if SilentStorm can continue on this rampage, or will KXN have something to say about it? He's got Zombie Chow, and he's got Power Word Shield. Those are cards that could be really important to fight for the early board control.
Yep.
Some people, they feel like Power Word Shield, they want a different drop, like to do something earlier on. They want to be able to pop down, Undertaker with Loot Hoarder or Dark Cultist, etc. So some people might throw it back. This guy chooses to keep it though.
Yeah, a lot of early answers here for SilentStorm. And we saw SilentStorm, just how fast he plays the Shaman a lot of the times. He's very decisive with his moves. You can tell that he has a lot of experience with the class just because of how confident he seems when making those quick decisions. So
he's a fast player in general.
Yeah, very fast.
Ooh. I like Coin Manatide Totem a lot. Just sit there and let your opponent deal with the pressure. And even if he uses Shadow Word Pain, it's like, well, cool, now I don't have to worry about that, and you already used up a card while I drew a card. And then now you have Feral Spirits to protect it.
Yeah, this Manatide Totem's going to get a lot of work done right now.
For sure.
And he's still got a turn 4 play, even with 2 overload. He can still play that Haunter Creeper down. And
Yep. Oh, Flame Tongue Totem as well. It's pretty good.
Such a great curve going on here. And Mind Control is just a dead draw.
Northshire Cleric heal, but that goes pretty well into the Flame Tongue Totem shenanigans. Because now you kill off the Cleric and then you start pushing a little bit. The Zombie Chow is actually a pretty interesting draw here. I think you do play it though.
Yeah. Power Word Shield, you're not going to really protect any... Well, I guess he could have Power Word Shielded onto the Dark Cultist, but to protect that a little bit more.
Right.
This is tough, because if you Flame Tongue Totem, you're not going to really be able to...
Well, you kill off the Cleric for sure. You don't want him to draw any more cards. And then you just push since you can't get a favorable trade.
Yep.
I mean, the Mana Tide's going to die next turn.
Oh, jeez.
Which is fine, though, because you're so far ahead in the card count now.
He's drawn 3 cards from that Mana Tide already, so I'm sure he's happy with that.
So I suppose you can Defender here and keep both teachers alive, which is good. The question is, how do you spread it out? All right, so I guess he values the health on his Dark Cultist.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have to choose your poisons. Like, well, do I leave Flame Tongue or do I leave Mana Tide? Of course, there's always kill Mana Tide.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to die from Flame Tongue.
Yeah. Well, Flame Tongue on an empty board is just not that enticing to kill. I mean, unless he draws like a Taunt Totem, which can be pretty devastating, but... Oh, there's just so many options here. What goes with the Loatheb, though? Drawing Undertaker at this point, maybe not the best.
Priest seems to have really run dead for a little bit, like off their early game start. Like, I was expecting a much more explosive beginning for KXN, but
yeah,
you know, when you don't get Undertaker, like I said, the curve is just so valuable to it.
Wow, so many big threats here. Drawn for SilentStorm. He's got a lot of options moving in, but I guess he does have the Earthshock for the Sylvanas, but that's still going to be a pretty big body that he's got to deal with on the board.
Right.
No Hex yet, and this would generally be a Fire Elemental turn, but I'm not sure how much he wants to use this, because then it would mean that he wouldn't be able to do anything with that Sylvanas. It would open up lots of opportunities for KXN to steal something good. And he can't even trade away his Loatheb either if he decides to Earthshock that.
Earthshocking, and then going to spend some of his removal here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then after he gets past the Sylvanas, plays Novish Defender. It's a pretty reasonable play, honestly, rather than just leaving it up to fate. Pretty clean overall, and he can afford to play a little bit more liberal with his cards since he's so high up.
Yeah. And especially with his removal, because he's got so many of those big threats that, I mean, he might not even have time to use that removal later on. The Rockbiter could have been pretty good combined with the Alakir, but the Priest is just so healthy at this point. You're probably not going to come down to a situation where you're going to burst him out.
Yeah, makes total sense here.
Oh, it's starting to get a little bit weird, though, because his hand is so full.
It only improves, though, from this point on. His Astrojects are going to pull in cheaper spells. He still has to hit his Lightning Storms.
Yep.
And this is interesting, though, because he can put out a really good amount of... like, he can put a pretty good board here. Like, Priest can essentially go all in.
Oh, and he's going to use the Circle of Healing as well.
Yep.
So if you... Not going to really need that this game to combine with the Arcanized Soul Priest, because he's just so far ahead on the board that he's going to be able to deal with anything that Shaman's going to put out.
Insta-call on the Azure Drake. Cross your fingers that he doesn't have Cabal Shadow Priest, but you realize that this is what the nature is in the matchup, that Priest can just dominate you a lot of times.
Yeah. And still, he's going to be able to trade pretty effectively against all of these.
Sure.
Just going to go ahead and clear the board. And he's even got Mind Control, which, I mean, there's not that great of Mind Control targets in the Shaman deck, just because, I mean, Alakir is usually just going to have an immediate effect on the board.
Ooh, so he's going to try to play around the Lightning Storm. And he gets it. That's pretty clutch, honestly. He doesn't want to use it.
he going to play both Haunted Creepers?
He doesn't have enough mana to fill out his script. It's
Yeah.
like that's like painful, but nah, you go for it for sure.
Yeah, well, this is still really awkward here. I mean, you can just go all in on the board now and throw down the Undertaker, the Loot Hoarder, and the Dark Cultist, but then you're just going to be playing right into all the removal that SilentStorm still has. I mean, he hasn't even drawn into a lot of the things.
Wow. Mind control to seize
jeez.
tempo. That's interesting.
That sort of screams a desperation move here from
Yeah,
KXN.
it definitely does.
I mean, he's still at a really high health total, so there's still chances. I mean, he's got 9 damage showing on board, so if there's not much removal, he's really close.
I mean, SilentStorm realizes his tempo death rattle, so he still doesn't feel like spells will kill him. And now that Mind Control's out of the way, he can feel free to play Alakir.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to play Alakir now. Next turn he has Flame Tongue Totem, so he can go for big trades. This turn he can spend his turn going for Defender of Argus plays.
Double Haunted Creeper, Defender of Argus.
Sounds good to me. And he already had a chance to play Cabal Shadow Priest, so most likely he doesn't have it.
Yep. It would be pretty devastating to get a Defender of Argus Haunted Creeper.
Wow, that is a big draw right now.
Wow, especially with the spell power coming from the Azure Drake. So
oh my goodness. Well met.
I'm sure he's very happy right now with his choice to go ahead and steal that Azure Drake, because this works out so perfectly.
Full clear.
Full clear, and he's going to have a couple of healthy minions left on the board. This is still a pretty good Alakir turn, this next turn after, though.
That's excellent still.
And now that he knows, well, I guess Alakir would be one of the best choices for Mind Control. I mean, well, Azure Drake, obviously, because of the Holy Nova value, but... And now the Priest is sort of running out of cards. Dark Cultist is the only thing he has left in his hand, and while the Shaman's low, Priests don't really have a lot of ways to push through. Oh, man.
How much damage is this? 3, 5, 7 damage.
Yeah.
What a draw.
7 damage, but he's going to have a pretty decent-sized board where his opponent doesn't have anything. Wow. And he can't use Doomhammer at this point. Harvest Golem's not going to really do too much.
I mean, he can use Doomhammer, but...
To do what?
To help remove. Doesn't really matter. He just has the Hex. He's going to be taking the same damage either way.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So just a Death Rattle creature will win the game here. That's not it. But that's still a pretty big deal, because those injured Blade Masters can be pretty tough for Shamans to be able to deal with, because especially if you heal them up, that 5 health range can be a little rough. And
yeah, definitely.
He hasn't drawn into either of his Akanai Soul Priest, so
that's true. He's on a draw to win the game from this point on.
Yeah. I mean, that's 2. How many cards do you think he has left? What? A little less than 15, maybe?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Probably between 10 and 15. So there's actually quite a big chance that he's going to draw into Akanai coming up into these turns.
Nope, it's not even Spell Power Totem.
Yikes.
Not that I think it would have saved him much, because he is out of time. He needs Spell Power or Taunt, I think. No, I think Taunt was the only thing that could save him.
Yeah, he can't get through all this.
So looks like KXN's able to climb back, and with his Priest deck finally being able to notch another win here after falling short a couple times.
Yeah,
very important for KXN to get on the board here. And now SilentStorm has to go into Game 4. We'll get to see what he chooses and relies on the most here.
Yeah, that game was just a little bit rough for him. His hand was really clogged early on with a lot of those big cost minions. He was playing very reactively, trying to just deal with what was on KXN's board. Never really had a chance to sort of build up his own board enough to pressure. I mean, KXN ended that game with 30 health. Right. So he just never had any time to do much of anything. Now, granted, a lot of that was just because of residual healing from like Holy Nova or just having a little bit of extra mana at the end of a turn. But there just wasn't really any point in that game where SilentStorm just had full control over the match, and KXN just played it really well, just kept the pressure up. And now, though, what deck do these guys go with? We're going to that blind pick stage, so they've seen each other's decks. Now they pick one of their deck to go up against another random deck of another. We see the Versus play here, and oh, SilentStorm picks the Warrior to go up against KXN's Hunter.
Yeah, Warrior seems to be the most well-rounded class against everything here. If Priest wasn't there, say it was Druid, I'd probably go with Shaman instead.
Yeah.
But Warrior seems to be decent. And then, you know, like I said, KXN, I think his best bet is to play Hunter.
Yeah.
Just because it's reasonable against everything that his opponent has. Zoo can easily run straight into the Mage, as well as just the Warrior can shut down as well. And then Priest doesn't want to run into these classes either. So I think Hunter is definitely the best choice.
Yeah, Hunter can take wins against anything if they get the decent draws and a really good start. We haven't really seen many great Hunter starts so far today. We saw like one Undertaker coin Leper Gnome today, but most of the time it's just been pretty mediocre Hunter starts, and Hunter really hasn't seen much success today. We've seen it take one win, maybe 2 wins, but
I've seen it have a handful of wins and,
oh, really?
and losses. I feel like it's about even so far.
Yeah, which is it's good to see, and I really like SilentStorm's choice to go with the Warrior, especially since he probably made the same read that you did, where I'm sure he's going to go with the Hunter just because it matches up so well against most of my decks. Probably that's his best choice, so Warrior would be my best choice.
All right, makes sense. We're going to game 4 and see whether or not SilentStorm can take it all the way home, or will KXN tie it up. Once more, going to game number 5, as we do see a much slower start this time around for SilentStorm.
Yeah, and I didn't see what he kept there. Oh, both Cruel Taskmasters and the Fiery War Axe, so that's going to be a pretty big deal early on to help him clear these. And again, no Undertaker here, so a little bit of an awkward start. That Web Spinner is going to get taken out pretty easily by that Cruel Taskmaster, one of those things that it trades with just so well. Yeah, this is a pretty standard turn. And Stampeding Kodo. It's not the best draw to be able to get from Web Spinner, but it's going to help a lot, especially
pretty
against
damn close, honestly.
Well, especially against Warrior because of Armor Smiths and Acolytes of Pain, not allowing, especially when I win against Hunters most of the time when I'm playing Control Warriors, when I can hide an Armor Smith like behind a Sledge Belcher or something like that, just because you're almost guaranteed to get so much value out of that Armor Smith.
I think, Kodo is actually one of the best Web Spinner pickups you can ask for.
Yeah,
personally.
High main.
High main is of course the top.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, like a few other cards are like pretty good too. Like sometimes Starving Buzzard isn't bad just to get draws, or like King Crush even is pretty decent. But in a lot of cases, I think Kodo is actually really good. Stranglethorn Tiger is also usually really good.
Yeah. Anything that you normally put in a Hunter deck,
sure,
a standard Hunter deck would be considered good from a Web Spinner.
Anything you can argue.
Yep. I've seen Stampeding Kodos. You talked about that a little bit earlier. Stranglethorn Tiger's actually become, well, it was popular for a while. Then it was taken out for a while, and now it's back in.
Ooh, how do you go about? I don't know if you play greedy, do you?
Well, you talking about Harrison. Saving the Harrison?
Yeah, Harrison on curve.
Yeah. You can't really ask for much better than that. Harrison on curve, but he actually is going to play. Well, I don't know about this. Maybe he's.
Well, I mean, you have an opportunity to shut down traps and whatnot with it too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if it's Snake Trap, then he could clear. It's not Snake Trap, obviously, since he has the ability to play it. But he could proc the secret if he plays another minion and clear all the snakes, and then get more value out of the Harrison Jones.
Yeah, I think so.
But as it stands right now, he's going to be in for maybe a little bit of a rude awakening. This Lotheb will still be able to get cleared relatively easily. And I guess this doesn't really change things.
No.
He's going to see that it's Freezing Trap and then realize, okay, well, now it's time to play the Harrison.
So I guess this came down so he can answer the 5-drop.
Yeah.
So, you know, picking off, and you know, you might even get it back because it is Freezing Trap. It's not Snake Trap.
Yeah,
Harrison getting Harrison back in case for weapon number 2 is a little silly, actually.
That's probably best case scenario. Well, yeah. Just because that's a lot of damage that you can block out from a Hunter who, as a warrior, or as a hunter, sometimes you can run out of damage against warrior. So that's going to be a big deal.
One thing that I see KXN doing also is that he's weaving in a lot of hero powers whenever he can instead of opting to play his Mad Scientist multiple turns. And this is because he realizes that he needs to drain his opponent's health somehow.
Yep.
He's going to need help, especially since he uses kill commands on creatures.
Yeah.
And not on his opponent's health resource here.
Yeah, this is a little bit rough because he knows that whatever he plays in this situation is going to get pretty easily cleaned up by the Baron Geddon. Ironfur Grizzly is the only thing that's even going to survive the passive of Baron Geddon. If he plays anything else, it's just going to get eaten up. And he does run 2 freezing traps, so at least the Mad... Well, I don't know. The Mad Scientists won't get any value if he clears it first, but he is going to go ahead and silence it. Just protect that Haunted Creeper.
Well, this is also freezing trap still, right?
Yeah, it's still freezing trap, yeah.
This is interesting now. He's got several plays here.
How quick do you want to set up the Rag as a warrior player against the Hunter? Is that an option at all in this situation?
Oh yeah,
right
it definitely is an option, but you have to weigh everything. He already used a kill command. You have Haunted Creeper though. What if you hit the Creeper? That's just so bad.
Yeah.
Because you increase the power on the board.
He also has 2 Fire War Axes in his hand, so he wants to start getting those out in the Loatheb. So he actually holds on to the Baron Geddon, so he's not gonna. He doesn't want to throw that into the freezing trap. So Loatheb not only is gonna protect his. Well, I guess he could kill command here for 8 mana, but that doesn't seem very enticing if you're a Hunter player. But he's going to be able to protect his Baron Geddon, that's 7 damage, by maybe utilizing the Loatheb freezing trap. I don't know, this board is looking pretty scary here. He does have the Brawl, which it's most likely going to be pretty good in this situation.
I'm just trying to think tactically here how the warrior can navigate a way to win, because the Hunter is very clearly just going to keep using hero power every single turn. Gorehal's a pretty dead draw. He's already got weapons anyways.
Yep.
So he no-knows freezing trap. Let's see. You can actually clear the board, right?
Yeah, you can proc freezing and then
play Baron Geddon again.
Play Baron Geddon again, or he could proc freezing, clear the Ironfur Grizzly with his other creature, Fiery War Axe, the Hunter Creeper, and Brawl. But that would risk cleaving up something on the enemy board and risk just giving up one of your creatures for free.
Sure.
But and is he thinking of using the Grommash? Okay, so really just putting on the pressure here.
Sure. Just wants to threaten to kill his opponent.
Yeah. Next turn would be setting up lethal for himself with...
He's has so much damage staring the opposite direction.
Wow.
He can get Freezing Trap, but that Leper Gnome draw was probably one of the worst in the Hunter deck at the moment.
Yeah, he definitely needed something a little more impactful to be able to deal with this. I like this move by SilentStorm, though, and this seems like a trend with him. He really is the one in a situation where he has the opportunity to play passive.
Yep.
And still have a good play, but more passive play. He'll always take the aggressive way out. And really exciting to watch.
Good thing for KXN also should have probably played a Snake Trap before trading in the Mad Scientist on the off chance that he got Snake Trap.
Yeah.
Number 2. But fortunately for him, it worked out nicely. Freezing Trap 2 is revealed, and that Sludge Belcher keeps him pretty safely tucked away, especially because now he can disarm his opponent and start chopping away and put him on what could be the game-winning turn here.
Yeah. I don't know if he has any outs in this situation. What can he even draw that's going to keep him in the game?
Deathwing.
No, even then, just have... Well, I guess he doesn't know, but the Gorehowl. Oh, Sludge Belcher. No, that still doesn't do it.
Yeah, you could push through anyways.
I mean, I don't think he knows that, because facing on board right now, he wouldn't. But since we know he does have the Gorehowl, he can trade pretty easily with this.
That's right. I mean, it doesn't matter if you activate Snake Trap anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, are you holding on to Kodo for the kill command? I think you're still weaving in hero powers every single time because kill command can still be paired with the Kodo and the hero power. So this is KXN's last resort, but SilentStorm, he is ready to go.
Yeah, and this is just sort of the icing on the cake, trying that shield block. So, yep, he knows this is. That's a little bit interesting of a way to do this. I guess it works though. There's so many ways. Could have Gourd Howl the Sledge Belcher, but gonna use Gourd Howl to finish it off, and that's gonna be SilentStorm. He's gonna be our second player moving on to the Legendary Series match day tomorrow. He's gonna join Xiao and join the rest of our invited players as well as the winners of last week. So we do have our final 8 solidified for tomorrow, and it's a really exciting lineup.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to see another player rise up amidst all of the chaos of the open brackets. And I think he played well. I think he's very deserving of the spot. And KXN, unfortunately, falls short in 3rd place. But, you know, maybe he just comes back and tries again now that he's found what ESL Cup actually is.
Yeah, and that's sort of the great thing about these open players that make it to these finals. It's not like they can't participate in the tournament anymore. They can go back, play in the Cup on Sunday, this Sunday, and maybe even make it back next Friday for the next Challenger Cup finals. So it's really cool to see some players make it twice, and competing in a pool of 500 players and making it to the top 4 more than once is really, really impressive to be that consistent of a player in Hearthstone. So if he manages to do that, looking forward to seeing him in the future. But for now, unfortunately, he is out, and SilentStorm moves on.
That's good. That's good. So that's it for our top 2 players. We have a pretty good solid group of 8 guys. They're going to join Ecop, Lothar, AP Drop, Brian Kibler, Max, and D2 in the top 8 for tomorrow. That's going to start at 10 a.m. PST. That series was brought to you by Newegg and Western Digital as well as Crucial. You can check out everything at esl.gg/Newegg Esports. We're going to take a few minutes to get set. I believe we do have one more match just for... I guess just for consolation to say that you won the open bracket. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back right after this.
For those who play as hard as they work, WD Black Performance Storage represents a new breakthrough. Designed specifically with content creators, gamers, DIY system builders, and creative professionals in mind. WD Black's stable track technology reduces vibrations so you can create more. And it's backed by an industry-leading 5-year warranty. WD Black Performance Storage. Higher capacities, more performance, more possibilities.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. It's time for our finals of the open bracket. Now, you might be wondering, what are these people playing for? You're like, well, does it matter because these are top 2 seeds that go into tomorrow? It does.
Yeah, there's actually a little bit of money on the line since this is the actual finals for our Sunday Cup. Sunday Cup actually has a prize pool. And so these guys are playing for more money. So this doesn't affect the seeding or whatever tomorrow. These guys are still qualified for the Legendary Series. It's a show match, and these guys have a little bit of money on the line. So still exciting for the players, and it's always exciting to see, hey, the 2 best players of today, the ones that are moving on, go head-to-head with each other.
Sure.
To maybe give them a little practice, give us a little bit of a show before we get to see them in the actual match day tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. Let's take a look at the screen to see what these guys have ready for us. We've got Mage versus Hunter to start things off, and then Shaman Mirror, and then Warrior and Druid. A matchup we've been seeing quite often today, but it seems to be leaning towards the Warrior side, not the Druid.
Yeah, SilentStorm, I don't think he got the best of matchups this time around. The Shaman Mirror matchup can be a little bit awkward. A lot of times, unfortunately, it comes down to who can get that overwhelming board control earlier, or really who can get the Lightning Storm the quickest is what I've found is what counters out the Shaman the best. But
sure,
you look at Mage versus Hunter, and I mean, the Hunter on paper has a better matchup, but we've seen SilentStorm be able to do great things. And then, of course, the Warrior versus the Druid. It's been a little bit backwards today. A lot of people will say that the Druid has an advantage in that situation, but I believe we saw SilentStorm take on a Druid with his Warrior deck earlier and actually win. So his win rate is 100% in that matchup.
Nice, nice. Well, I think 100% win rate is pretty good.
It's decent.
If I had a choice of 100% or not 100% win rate, I choose 100% win rate.
I would most likely choose 100% as well.
Good, good.
Depending on what I was winning.
Yes, yes, that is true as well. But in this case, I'd choose the 100% for sure.
Yes.
So let's just continue to do that if you're SilentStorm. If you're Shao GZ, you have some pretty good matchups. You got Hunter versus Mage.
Yep.
You have Druid versus Warrior. So all it is really about making sure to line things up so that way it doesn't get out of control.
Yeah.
And just ride that wave from there. The first match will be Hunter versus Mage. This Mage has been surprising people all day long, and it's a third person who's yet to see Molten Giants. I think we're going to see another surprise game.
Yeah, it could be, and we talked a little bit earlier about the counter spells, as you can see on your screen right now, put into the deck.
Two pair.
Yeah, that may be pretty great against the Flare. Because the Flare, of course, people would say is the ultimate counter to those Mage secrets. It can allow the Hunter to push through a turn earlier.
Both these guys drawing 2 of their secrets in copies. It's one thing to draw 2 secrets, but to draw 2 of the same secret,
yeah,
it's a little brutal.
And turn 2 Snake Trap. Probably not the most ideal play.
Not ideal at all.
No, especially with the Acolyte of Pain here.
Not ideal because he doesn't even have anything going on at the moment. And pretty soon it's going to be discovered that there's no... Like, this trap is just Freezing Trap. Or it's not going to be Freezing Trap. It's going to be Snake Trap.
Yeah.
So it actually doesn't matter all game long because it's rare to see Snake Trap ever become, like, a real thing in Mage versus Hunter.
Yeah. And when the Mage is the one who has a board and is calling the shots, and the Hunter is just sitting there, hero.
Oh, man. It took a while.
Yeah, he's still going to get pretty good value to that Acolyte of Pain. 2 draws from that is pretty much all that he could ask for at this stage in the game. He's got a good curve from here on out, but he's allowed the Mage to draw just so many cards. Look at his hand right now.
Well, now it's a little awkward because you don't want to use Arcane Intellect because you just overdraw.
Yeah.
So he plays Doomsayer in anticipation of another minion being played.
Yeah.
This is pretty clever. I like it.
Yep.
Or at least beats out the Ironbeak Owl.
Also, he's got the Cult Master and Unleash the Hounds combination, or Cult Master Snake Trap as well. A lot of the times players will only run, well, not a lot of the times I'll say, but I've seen a lot of players who only run one snake trap just because of its inconsistency. I can see running 2 snake traps if you run that Cold Master just because you can get so much value out of it.
Sure.
And in a deck like Hunter where sometimes you just run out of steam, and we've seen it a lot today actually where they just run out of cards. That can be a really helpful tool to help you deal with.
Well, that's what Colt Master's for, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just supposed to help refill your hand, like you said.
Yeah.
So, coming into this turn, though, we'll wait for that to actually be the case. In the meantime, ooh, I like it. You know, SilentStorm says I'm going to play Counterspell now, so that way I can get almost a higher chance of getting Ice Block instead of just all this other stuff, too.
Yeah. Well, actually, he has both counterspells in his hand, so.
Oh, you're right. So either way, it would have been.
Yeah, but still, putting it on the board here, and he's. Oh, yeah, it's going to eat a kill command. So this is a pretty big deal. I'm sure Xiao thought that was an Ice Block just because he was developing Ice Block because it stayed on curve, but.
Oh, that's so awkward.
Yeah, this really hurts his plan here. Wow.
I wonder if Xiao GZ. No, he saw Doomsayer. I was like, I wonder if he's confused at the moment because he sees all these secrets like Counterspell. But when you see Doomsayer, you confirm that it's Freeze Mage because Secret's Tempo Mage would not play Doomsayer at all.
Yeah,
it's actually so counterintuitive.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit weird to see that. It's like an emergency card, or you can just bait out your opponent, play a Doomsayer.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, it's Freeze Mage," and then you just hit him with like this, hit him with the Cairn and duplicate it. 3 Cairns.
Okay, let's see what he draws off Arcane Intellect. Alexstrasza, pretty useful for being able to defend yourself health-wise.
Well, he's still at 24 health going into turn 8 here. So he's in a really great spot.
Yeah, Lotheb's great here in this spot. Just being able to put out a good amount of damage while also making it like, oh, I don't want to actually trade my high main into this. I'm going to just attack the face or kill out the Doomsayer.
Yeah.
The Doomsayer here is really clever too,
yes,
because it's just like either kill off Lotheb and like silence this or whatnot, or you have to kill off the Doomsayer and keep Lotheb alive. It's actually very clever.
Yeah. It's going to effectively be an 8 health heal pretty much, which is pretty great value. It's like a healing touch.
Sometimes things like this are a little bit too clever for their own good because people might have the hand that's like great anyways.
Yeah.
Like, oh sure, you kill it off, but I still have 2/2/2s.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. Oh wow.
It's not bad at all.
Well, he can clear the entire board here.
Yes.
And I think that's the right play. And that's exactly what he's going to do.
He does give an extra charge to the bow.
He can even actually just use the Blizzard in hero power. But I think he's going to save that to stop some damage maybe later on. Use that as sort of an emergency freeze when he's looking for lethal. Of course, you know me. I'm a curved guy. That Blizzard was just so...
It's fine looking.
Juicily curved.
Not really the case here because Flame Strike is more expensive, so it's clunkier.
Yeah.
He's got lethal damage as long as he doesn't die, because you got the Fireball, Frostbolt, and then Pyroblast the next turn.
Yep.
So what is... I mean, you can even do that in Fireball the face, and then just Pyroblast the next turn. I like the Counterspell. It's a good... I guess not really bluff, but it's like a way to show like, oh, I'll just be safe just in case he has kill command and whatnot. But this, the only way to lock him out is Lotheb. That stalls for 1 more turn. I like this Unleash the Hounds as well. It's a way to bait out the Counterspell.
Yep. And that's actually could put him in a pretty good position because he doesn't have that second Ice Block. He's going to be able to push a little bit of damage here. Does he not check for Counterspell? He has to. He has 2 Unleash the Hounds. There's absolutely no point. Well, not no point, but it's you sort of need to test for it. Well, next turn he's going to have lethal facing on board unless he draws into the Ice Block or uses the Alexstrasza.
Yeah, there's a chance he might freeze as well. Like freeze everything.
Yeah. Molten Giant freeze.
Nice. Good test from Xiao GZ. And he sees 2 counterspells, so if this Mage deck ever comes back, Oh, can't Blizzard though, by the way, because
Because the low depth.
Lotheb.
Oh,
So
wow. Has to. Alex Straza, I think, is his only option here. Unless he wants to. No. Mad Scientist and Molten Giant and then Frostbolt?
yep,
Okay.
just seize tempo. It's the same as like gaining 5 life, so
Yep.
to speak. Oh, he's also gonna
Whoa,
frostbolt for
okay.
ice block. All right,
Yeah.
that works too. It's just any way to stall for time essentially.
Yep.
And this is where Xiao ZZ has to get Flare. He needs to actually use his Unleash the Hounds, and his Unleash the Hounds has to draw Flare.
Yep.
He's got 2 chances to do it.
Otherwise, he's dead to Pyroblast next turn. And
Exactly.
we did see the Ice Block come down.
Oh,
so
man. Oh, he's got 1 chance, actually. I forgot.
he has to pipe the Ice Block this turn, too. Oh, geez. It all comes down to this.
No. He actually... Wait, no. Even if he flares, he needs... It costs
It's
2
2 mana now.
It costs 2 mana now.
no.
Okay, well, he didn't draw it, so...
Yeah.
Wow, what a way to escape barely. And you know what? If he Alex draws it himself, would he have died anyways? Not sure. It would have been really close, but either
yeah.
way, the Pyroblast will end the game, and SilentStorm will take the first match of this best of 5. Well done.
Yeah, that was very well played. And even at the end there, he couldn't have popped the Ice Block and done the Flare because, hey, Flare's 2 mana now.
I know. I think it was something that he was like, well, you know, if I draw it, I draw it,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But that's what's a funny thing. It's like, well, you know, Flare 2 mana, does it really make that big a difference? Like, yeah, I guess it really does.
It
in that
does
scenario.
right there.
Right there.
But coming out on top on a matchup that may not have been the best for him going into it. Pretty good start for SilentStorm.
Sure.
Going into this next match, I think he's got a little bit of an advantage. I think this was his, this is a Shaman versus Shaman. Okay, so nobody has the advantage. I think these guys' decks are very similar. We didn't see too many differences in what these guys were playing. I know Zhao was definitely playing the Alakir, but I can't remember what SilentStorm had in his. I believe it was the same. 1 Doomhammer, 1 Alakir, so, well, of course, 1 Alakir. So we'll have to see this mirror matchup. Mirror matchups are just so interesting because just one changed card can mean so much in a mirror matchup.
I think so too. But at the same time, these guys don't know each other's decks at all.
Oh yeah, that's true. They have not played
They
against
haven't played each other. In fact, we didn't even see the Molten Giant really come into play here.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's pretty even.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know much information. I want to think about any differences that I saw at all, but I really think that it's pretty similar across the board. We saw a lot of early anti-aggression.
Yep.
We saw some, ways to finish like Doomhammer and Alakir. It's nothing crazy like Bloodlust or like Wind Fury stuff.
Yeah, we see sometimes that in mirror matchup cases, when you know the deck is going to be really popular, sometimes you'll put in specific cards to counter the mirror matchup. Like in Hunter, sometimes you'll put in specific cards to counter other Hunters, to do better against other Hunters, like maybe a second Flare. In Shamans, it's not really the case. You don't really tech your Shaman deck to run into other Shamans. You run those like Zombie Chows that you can beat against a lot of the popular classes, like the Hunter, and deal with that early aggression, but you're never really accounting for the fact that you're going to be playing against another Shaman. So it should be interesting to see. I can't we'll have to see exactly how the cards and how their decks match up once we get in game. It's really hard to think back to exactly what cards differ from each other. But most of these Shaman decks are very, very similar.
Okay, cool. I just got word, by the way, that Xiao apparently disconnected.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to get him back online. So we're going to need a couple of seconds here to get ready. And, it may be that Pyroblast actually shut down his internet connection.
Yeah.
That's how hard he got destroyed by that fireball.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty.
Sure.
And I just want to know exactly what he cut to fit all those cards in there. Because you look at it, there's so many ways that he can win the game every single time.
You mean the mage?
Yeah, the mage. He cut out the ice
barriers are counter spells.
And he cut out loot hoarders.
He cut out loot hoarders, you're right, or like just there's no like novice or anything like that. He doesn't have. I haven't seen more than one copy of like Flame Strike or Blizzard or anything.
Or even Frost Nova.
We've seen Frost Nova.
Oh, 2 Frost Novas?
I would assume 2 Frost Novas
Okay.
are pretty stable as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, but there's just so many ways for him to win games.
All you gotta do is slide into Molten Giants.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's essentially the same thing.
Because there was always an argument back when I guess the original Freeze Mage, maybe not the original Freeze Mage, because that goes back to when all the Frost spells cost like one less.
And we played Nat Pagel.
Yeah, exactly. But this generation sort of Frost Mage, people were always having the debate whether or not you put in Pyroblast
Or Antonidas.
or Antonidas. And not only does he fit the Molten Giants in, but he fits both of those cards in as well.
Sure,
So,
sure.
really, just a really interesting Mage deck from him, and such a bold move to bring Mage into a tournament format like this. And the Molten Giants really are sort of what's bringing him a lot of success with this deck.
Yeah, it's something that's really cool. I love seeing it, and we'll definitely be seeing more SilentStorm, especially tomorrow, where we get to see him bring different decks.
Yep.
You know, what's he gonna bring? I don't know if Lothar, Yka, PP Drop, or Kibler are watching the broadcast at all, but if they are, they're like, well, I better take notice of this guy. Same thing with Xiao GZ too. Like, you know, is he putting Sea Giants in everything?
Yeah.
You know?
Just the Sea Giant Master. Well, you said it earlier. So many decks are running Haunted Creepers that it's actually pretty easy to get a pretty low cost Sea Giant.
Yeah. You can always play it. You can usually reliably play it by turn 5 or 6.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a pretty big threat to deal with. Sort of like the ghetto handlock.
Ghetto handlock.
Instead of playing a
That's pretty much what Freeze Mage is.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
You think Brian Kibble will bring... Did you see his dragon deck?
I did. I played it a little bit.
Yeah.
With
a lot of success.
It's not the most winning deck I've ever played.
Yep.
But it's definitely
imagine
winning
that.
in other ways.
Yeah. In your heart.
Yes, you play a lot of cool creatures. You get Nose Dormu out there and you just laugh at your opponent who doesn't know how to respond. Nose Dormu actually is 15 seconds now, not 30.
Yep.
And yeah, overall, I love it. It's a really fun deck.
People underestimate just how little 15 seconds is in Hearthstone. Because a lot of times...
It's like half a Sludge Belcher death animation.
Exactly. Sometimes I wait like 8 seconds just for my targeter to be able to target the actual slime when it spawns. So you really have to make plays super quick. But
yeah, no doubt.
Doubt we'll be seeing the Dragon Druid come out tomorrow from Brian Kibler.
Maybe, man.
It's a possibility, but...
Maybe if he refines it a little bit. Obviously, you don't rely on everything in it. Like, you can definitely get away with, like, taking Malygos out, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. What I did with that deck was I took out the Druids of the Claw, and I put in 2 Moonfires.
Okay.
To handle the early aggression.
Yeah, and to synergize with the Malygos later on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have Malygos, Wrath, and Swipes.
Because other than that, really, Malygos doesn't synergize with too much in a Druid deck. They don't have many spells.
So, I was able to get some really cool stuff. So
okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we just got a notification that we're going to take a few minutes to get ready and hopefully fetch out Xiao GZ. We're going to send a search party for him online. We'll be back in just a second, guys. Stay tuned.